The Supreme Court deliberates on Donald Trump's involvement in the Capitol assault, questioning if his actions constitute insurrection and his eligibility for future presidency under the 14th Amendment. Let's examine the story, and then let everyday Americans weigh in with some actual comments.
In the heart of America's democracy, a battle unfolds that could reshape the very fabric of its political landscape. At the center of this storm is Donald Trump, a former president ensnared in a web of legal challenges, with the specter of insurrection casting a long shadow over his legacy. The Supreme Court stands as the ultimate arbiter, poised to make a decision that could bar him from the presidency forever. This saga traces back to January 6, 2021, a day that shook the nation to its core as the Capitol was besieged. The question that looms large: did Trump's actions before and during the assault constitute an insurrection? With 91 charges arrayed against him across 4 cases, the stakes are monumental, yet the charge of insurrection is conspicuously absent. Enter the Colorado Supreme Court, delivering a seismic verdict by declaring the Capitol attack an insurrection and branding Trump an insurrectionist, invoking the 14th Amendment's stark provision against those who engage in rebellion from holding office. This pivotal amendment, born from the ashes of the Civil War, now serves as the battleground for a legal and historical debate of epic proportions. Scholars and historians are locked in a fierce debate, dissecting Trump's words and deeds for evidence of insurrection. His rallying cry to supporters to fight on that fateful day is scrutinized under the microscope of legal and historical analysis, with opinions deeply divided over the nature of his actions and their alignment with the 14th Amendment's intentions. As the Supreme Court deliberates, the potential for a ruling that extends beyond Trump looms large, threatening to ignite a firestorm of eligibility challenges that could ripple through future elections. The complexities of the issue are vast, encompassing legal interpretations, democratic principles, and the very definition of insurrection itself. This is not just a legal drama, it's a story about America's soul, its commitment to democracy, and how it navigates the treacherous waters of political turmoil. It's a narrative fraught with tension, principle, and the unwavering quest for truth, begging the question: will justice prevail, or will the shadows of division cast a long pall over the nation's future?
Now let's invite some American citizens to provide comments, opinions, and maybe elaborate even further.
This is a misrepresentation of the situation. It is difficult to predict where the Supreme Court will land only because the conservatives are so clearly and consistently ideological in all of the decisions. If Clarence and Sam had not been covertly accepting bribes for the last 20 years, perhaps this would not be so difficult to predict. None of the arguments against disqualification hold water better than a wicker basket.
The people convicted of sedition testified they acted on Trump's orders.
Trump's team coordinated the rally and had the foresight to tell the militia groups to show up for a speech on the particular day that certification was scheduled. They had a march to the Capitol planned beforehand. This was coordinated.
The people convicted of sedition testified they acted on Trump's orders.
Trump's team coordinated the rally and had the foresight to tell the militia groups to show up for a speech on the particular day that certification was scheduled. They had a march to the Capitol planned beforehand. This was coordinated.
Regarding the bogus argument that Trump did not take up arms against the USA, Jefferson Davis was disqualified from federal office following the Civil War, despite the fact he did not venture to the front lines with a musket or rifle. In fact, most of the men who served in the government of the Confederacy did not fire a shot in the war, so that is a bogus complaint.
The complaint that the 14th doesn't specifically refer to the presidency is absurd. The presidency is referred to as the office of the presidency in the Constitution 3 times.
If the SCROTUS refuses to do their duty and disqualify Trump, it will be because they don't think he can win.
The Supreme Court isn't supposed to decide facts, they decide what the law is. The Colorado courts decided as a matter of fact that Trump participated in an insurrection. The Supreme Court is supposed to decide based on Constitution whether he is eligible for the ballot. The Constitution is clear that insurrectionists are not eligible.
If the 9 justices do not rule him ineligible, they will further undermine SCOTUS's credibility in the legal system itself for generations to come. It's hard to overstate the importance here of the substance and the appearance of equal treatment under the law. Trump obviously engaged in insurrection as defined by the 14th Amendment, as well as by most people's gut instinct around this. He cannot be allowed to hold office. SCOTUS must do the right thing.
Did Donald Trump commit an insurrection on January 6?
For anyone with eyes and ears, and with the mental capacity to understand Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution,
the answer is a clear and unqualified yes.
And no matter what the Supreme Court decides, this is someone who has no business whatsoever coming near the White House ever again.
There. Problem solved. Trump may not have used force against the government of the United States, but by sitting on his hands for 3 hours taking no action to stop the rioters, he was aiding the insurrection. Moreover, as the insurrectionists were rioting and attacking a joint session of Congress, Trump was telephoning representatives and senators and attempting to leverage the threat by the rioting mob attacking Congress to convince them to stop or delay the counting of the Electoral College ballots. That should be sufficient for qualifying as participating in an insurrection.
don't forget Trump's order that people be allowed to carry guns into the Capitol Mall because they weren't going to be used against him, the fact that he invited his admirers to come to the mall and be wild, and that he literally watched the insurrection on TV for hours without interceding to stop it. As to the 14th Amendment, and its language, the law it imposed was voted for by at least 2/3 of the states. The people did vote for this, and Trump has violated it. The Supreme Court will have to violate it if they rule Trump must be allowed to run for office.
The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. George Orwell, 1984.
They've embraced a concocted theory, originalism, and then rely on it in their fake history to implement profoundly un-American and policies that could not survive a popular vote and are as deadly as the latest mass shooting or the young women murdered by a self-anointed theocracy.
Should this court ignore the clear intent of the drafters of the 14th Amendment, they will have put the lie to their self-professed originalism, and will, at long last, have fully ripped the robes off their pious pronouncements of constitutional fidelity.
There you have it, folks. This is what people are thinking in America. We hope you enjoyed Radio AI. Subscribe, like, and enjoy often.